Hi, beautiful people. We are in week 3. Yes, week 3. All week long here at TCLN, I have been going over what's called the system. So many times we hear it over and over and over. It's the system, it's the system, it's the system. Well, all month long in December, I broke down what was called the system. So, again, if you guys didn't get a chance to catch it, go back and catch the first 2 videos, first 2 weeks over the system and how I broke it down and what it really means in America. But today I want to talk about an article that I came across from PBS News Special. And in this article, it literally talks about people's judgment and their trust in the judicial system has dropped. But wait until you find out why. See, I want to show you just how much twisted this system is. It's got us so twisted that it's almost like you don't know your right from your left and your left from your right. Wrong, right, left, right. Like you just twisted, right? So I want to go over that today. So it's going to be an article, short. I want to read it off to you, but I want you to understand just how much in our American system is kind of thrown off, guys. But before we do that, I want to start off with some inspiration, okay? So there's this book that's called Dream Year. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's by Ben Arment. When you get a chance, guys, whether you're at a local library, check it out. If you can get it off Amazon, it'll definitely be worth it. It is a keepsake. I would never refer anything to you that would harm you. Y'all know how I am. I love to keep the psychological away. I love to bring you things that are truthful as much as possible. And this book is very concrete. And what I want to do is I want to read a very short passage for you out of here. It's inspirational, so just hang in here. Bear with me, okay? So we're going to go to chapter 5. It's called Executing the Dream, okay? And so in chapter 5, I'm going to switch over to page 94. Now I'm going to read this very shortly. Your dream needs a CEO. Pay attention to what it has to say. Very inspiring, guys. A Dream Year participant once told me, my dream is less about who I am than who I need to become. She was right. Dreams require us to become the best versions of ourselves. How many of us cringe at the thought of making a sales call or slink out of a room to avoid people rather than walk over to meet them? How many of us keep putting tasks off in favor of excuses? Pursuing a dream exposes how ordinary we are and how fearful we can be. But not measuring up to the size of our dream is no reason for us to give up. It is a call for us to rise to our potential. And how do we do this? We have to see the dream as its own entity and start acting as its CEO. I thought that was good, guys. What CEO has trouble picking up the phone to make a phone call? Or what CEO is reluctant to delegate tasks that they don't want to do? What CEO plans a sales strategy and don't execute it? Have you ever met a CEO that is insecure? Well, they do have some, but they push past their insecurities and they get it done. In a society where trying to cure multiple personality disorders, your dream is one that places you where you need it. Your dream requires a clear division between ordinary you and CEO you. Ordinary you lets the dream get sidetracked by personal issues, time constraints, emotional drama. Just as the spoiled child of a millionaire can slack off and his parents' business and get away with it, you can take the privileged status as an owner of your dream and slack off. No one will challenge you. CEO you separates your private life from your dream life. She insists that you show up for work. Let me ask you this. Would your boss let you take off from work anytime they felt it and not do anything about it? Would they let you meet unmet deadlines? Probably not. So neither shall you. This is why your dream needs a boss. Ordinary you is straining to make the house payments, pay off loans, beat down credit, and no wonder you have such low tolerance for risk. When your dream requires capital, ordinary you looks at your budget and says, there is no way I can do it. But CEO you strips away the dream from the personal finances, and it lets it live on its own spreadsheet. This protects the dream from the challenges of your ordinary life. CEOU creates a separate financial statement that has nothing to do with the ordinary you. Your car payments, car bill, mortgage. It gives the enterprise a chance to live or die by its own revenue and expenses. When most people pursue a dream, they think they're getting into the activity of their craft, like cooking, making a magazine, editing, or event producing. But what they are really getting into is revenue seeking side of the business, the sales of cookies, the sales of magazine advertisements, the sales of event tickets. It's the only way a dream can survive. And only a CEO can be objective enough to see this. If you rather just do the activity of your craft, it's better to stay employed by someone else. CEOU can only exist if you form an organization around your dream. I thought that was so good, guys. I'm not going to read all of it, but I thought that was good. And what the author was going on to say is that when you're achieving your dreams, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader or you're aspiring and you're trying to make something happen, again, you know, my channel talks to underserved, underestimated aspiring leaders and aspiring entrepreneurs. So I just love to talk about the system, talk about social issues, talk about the things that give us insight and information and help make us better. So, but what the author was continuing to say was that when you are trying to build a business or an organization, you need to put some titles in place. And what the author was saying is that you first start with you. You are CEO. And then all of the things that need to be done to move your task along need to be revenue seeking tasks, right? Because you need to bring money into the business. So the author gave an example of, let's just say you was writing a book, right? So if you're writing a book, you're the CEO of that publishing business at the time, especially if you want to write a book and self-publish. So you're the CEO. So even though you're the CEO, you're managing the whole process. You're making sure you see the vision, you oversee the vision, but you have to create different, what he called management titles, so that you can manage categories and manage the things you need to do. So say, for instance, when it's time for you to write, right? You need to be the artist. You need to be the creator. And then when it's time for you to market, you need to be the marketing manager because you're managing all aspects of marketing and promotion. And then when you need to deal with the finances, you need to be the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, because now you got to go in and use, you know, your accounting software or whatever, making sure that you're keeping up with them taxes and keeping up with your finances. And, you know, I just wanted to share that with you today. So as we go into 2025, you understand that, you guys, we're going to go in with the right perspective. We're going to go in and we're just going to make sure that we're taking action, because a lot of us have dreamed for a very long time, but nobody really taught us how to take action, like take real action. People will say, do this, do this, do this, and you still be confused. But we're talking about step by step, build by build, brick by brick, taking action toward the thing you're trying to achieve. Okay. So I thought that was very good. Again, the name of the book is called Dream Year, and it's called Make the Leap from a Job You Hate to a Life You Love. Ben Arment. So again, guys, if you come across this at your local library or Amazon or whatever, pick it up. It's a great read from front to back. It breaks down things for you. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, I want to get into today's episode, which is week 3, the system. And again, like I said, all month long, I have been talking about the system, which is, we call it the system, but really what the scripture biblically references to the mark of the beast, the 666, which is the actual world system that is set in place, that rebels against the knowledge and the wisdom of our creator and deceived all mankind, basically. Okay. And it has infiltrated everything, the church, the government, everything you can think of, right? Corporations, everything. So that's where you got the operation of the beast and rebellion and people just doing things out of a way that's not good for mankind, right? So today what I wanted to hit on is I want to hit on this article that I came across, because I really wanted to show you just how much we get twisted. Now, you know, the scripture says, be fruitful and multiply. Now, let's be honest, when it comes to the Bible, we don't know what they meant God did what on. We don't know how God truly intricately created humanity, or how the design was, or what the full conversation was. All we know is they said that the Bible said, let us make man in our image. You understand what I'm saying? And we know that we were designed. And we know that as we were designed, we come through the birth canal and we have a purpose. We're not just here by accident. So we do know that much, you know. We also know that we've never seen God. We just believe that there's God because we know that there is a greater existence outside of us. We also know good from evil. We understand that when something is done right and righteous and when something is wicked, we do have that much of an understanding, right? And for those who are spiritual, you go on to understand even greater things, right? But let's read this article. It's short, but let's read it because I really want to show you just how twisted things have become. Now, remember this. Man was commanded to be fruitful and to multiply, you know, multiply in children, multiply in life, multiply in all things that you do. In other words, we were created to prosper. If you go look at Jeremiah 29, I think that's 29:11, it says, for I know the thoughts or the plans that I think towards you, plans of good and not of evil, plans to prosper you. So we were already designed to prosper, right? Like all mankind, according to what is written, God made mankind not to suffer, not to be impoverished, not to be all these things that we go through, sickness, disease, sexual perversion, all this crazy stuff. We were made to expand and to prosper, to be the beauty of the extension of God and the earth through humanity, right? But let me touch this article. So the article is titled Americans' Confidence in the Judicial System Drops to a Record Low. Again, this is through PBS News article. I'm going to put the link in the description below and you guys can go read it. I'm just going to read a portion of it. So this was in the politics section, December 17th, 2024. Okay. Now, it says, at a time of heightened political division, Americans' confidence in their country's judicial system and courts have dropped to a record low of 35% this year, according to a new Gallup poll. The United States saw a sharp drop, 24 percentage points over the last 4 years, setting the country apart from wealthy nations where most people average still expresses trust in their system. These results come after a tumultuous period that included, these are the reasons, guys, that people's trust has dropped in the judicial system. One I can understand, the other one is twisted. Let's go. So one, the overturning of nationwide rights to abortion. That's one. Number two, the indictment of former President Donald Trump and the subsequent withdrawal of federal charges and his attacks on the integrity of the judicial system. The second one I can understand because we as people know, especially as people of color or minorities or whatever, if we do one little thing, if we get caught or whatever the case may be, there's no such thing as you getting off. I'm not for sure if Trump did all these things that they said Trump did, but let's just give hypothetical, he did do it. You know, you're not going to be a president of a business. You're not going to be a president of this. You're not going to be a president of anything, right? So you're going to jail. You're going to be locked up, you know. So people will consider it to be unfair, right? So people will consider that to be unfair, right? Right. So I understand the second one. But let's talk about the first one. Overturning of the nationwide right to abortions. So people's trust has dropped because they can't have nationwide abortions. Y'all did hear this, right? Nationwide abortion. Now, if you guys know anything about doing a little bit of research, you will know that the majority of abortions has been up in the millions in just a year, the millions. And the majority of babies who get aborted are Black babies. Other babies too, but the majority are Black babies. You do understand this, right? So who are the people whose trust has dropped in the judicial system? Please explain that. Who are they? Why did they trust drop? Because you can't have a nationwide abortion? Do you understand that nationwide abortions are mass murder? Listen up closely, guys. Your trust in the system dropped because the system said no nationwide abortions. So at one point in time, these things were happening. They were happening right up under our nose. They were happening through Planned Parenthood. They were happening through all kinds of things, especially a lot of Black women. They were dealing with hysterectomies, or wombs being cut out. I don't know if you guys know about that in the 80s and the 90s. They were targeted very hard. A lot of them had their tubes removed. They can't have children anymore. A lot of them were being hit with hysterectomies. They would tell them certain things, so they would remove their reproductive, right? So either way it go, whether they were talking you into getting abortions or whether they were forcing you to have these things through medical procedures or what they call medical incidents, when they were really nothing more than spiritual attacks. But I want you to understand just how deep this system goes, because this has been the system at work all this time. And the system gets inside of people's minds. There used to be a time in America where people just didn't stand for abortions. They didn't even know that these major abortions was happening like this. And when they found out, that's when they would protest and they would go crazy. They would tell those doctors, we will stone you. Stop killing those kids, but there became a time where the beast grew. When I say beast, God, I'm talking about the system. And when I say system, I'm talking about ideas. Remember, systems is made up of nothing but ideas. Do you understand that? And they grow inside of people's minds. And it's like a seed that's planted within us, right? So if a good seed get planted with you, let's just say somebody say, I see that you can be an entrepreneur. You're good at making clothes. Why don't you be a designer? That seed is planted, right? And you get to thinking about it. And it gets to growing in your mind. Then all of a sudden you become that thing. Well, that's what we mean. That's what I mean by beast. So when we're talking about the beast, you're talking about the system. This means ideas getting inside of people and growing, and it becomes a beast. Why is it called a beast? Because it's horrible. It's wicked. Beast. The beast is known as wicked. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. Like people's their drop in trust in the judicial system wasn't because people were being murdered, people were being killed, innocent children were being harmed, all kinds of things happening, and the justice system wasn't serving up right. Their trust in the system dropped because they can't get the nationwide abortions that they want. And they don't want Trump in there, so they need him out. That's why their trust dropped. That quite don't make sense, right? But that's how twisted it is, guys. So that's what I mean, the perfect example of deception. Deception. There is nowhere in any biblical text, from the Quran to the scriptures of New Testament, Old Testament, whatever text, Hebrew or whatever, that God commands people to abort children, So we know that abortions is a system that's set up by the beast to target the womb and target the children and get rid of the children. Now, why would your trust drop in the judicial system? Because they say, we're not going to give you nationwide abortions. We're going to let the states choose, and some states are going to choose for it and some states are not. So the people's trust in the system dropped because they can't have the bloodthirsty murders that they want, that they've been killing these innocent lives, whether knowingly or whether brainwashed. Because remember, some people are brainwashed because they believe it's my body, it's my right, I should be able to do what I want to do. But yeah, it is your body and your right, to take care of yourself and to be a woman and to look after yourself. But it's not your right to be killing your children and to be killing your seed and to be killing the man's children that you made it with. So again, guys, I just wanted to show you just a little bit of that. You understand what I'm saying? Just how much that system has twisted us up. And y'all remember this quote back in the day where this man said, we tried to tell them the truth, but they didn't want it. He said, we tried to tell them the truth. They didn't even want to hear it. They didn't want it. He said, so we just sold them a lie. He said, y'all remember that quote? I don't know who the quote is by, but they said, we tried to tell them the truth, but they didn't want it. He said, so we just sold them a lie. Now think about it. The system all of our lives have sold us a lie. And then when we're finally told the truth, we're so brainwashed, we can't receive it. Y'all think about that. They're finally letting you know that they don't want that blood on their hands. We're not going to put that on the Supreme Court. We're going to pass that to the states. Let the states decide. So they finally letting you know that they know that it's been mass murder all this time, right? But the people are so ingrained now and so affected now. And these ideas have gotten so in their country that conscious is my body, is my right. I can do whatever I want to do, honey. There used to be a time people didn't believe like that. They believed in the cherishment of passing their seed along in the earth. And to make sure that life, something changed along the way, though, didn't it? Something got inside of people, didn't it? Yeah. So I just wanted to share that, because it's just a fact. Like we're living in this system, this thing that they call the matrix, and it's like they said, even if you try to tell people the truth, they so brainwashed, or they so bloodthirsty and was enjoying all the murders that they just don't want to face the reality of the wrongdoing, and it's time to change that stuff, right? So guys, I just wanted to leave you with you today. And now what I want to talk about is I want to talk about forgiveness. All of our lives we've been told about forgiveness, right? We've been told that we need to forgive. But do you know that no one ever told us who and what we needed to forgive? We was told that we need to forgive our mother if she abused us. We were told we need to forgive someone if they molested us. We were told that we need to forgive our teacher if they told us we were never going to be anything in life. But do you understand that what people really need to forgive? Have you ever really sat down and thought about life and thought about this system and thought about how it's been set up over the years and how corrupt it's been over the years and what it has done to the hearts and spirits of mankind, not just to you, but to your mother, to your mother's mother, to your fathers, to your father's fathers, to their father's fathers, to their father's father, the whole world, before you was even thought of to come through the womb, just what the world has been through and what you truly need to forgive. And when I say forgive, let me even ask the question, how many people even think that you should forgive? How many people think that you should forgive or you shouldn't forgive? It should just take its course and God will handle it all. I like your comments. Put them below. That'll be good. Put them below. That'll be good. I would love to hear your comments on the concept of forgiveness, because a lot of people take the scripture out of the Bible and they say, God, if you don't forgive, God won't forgive you, this and this and that. They've taken that totally out of context. That's in reference to your spiritual brother and sister in Christ, so-called in Christ, with the Christian teachings. So what that means is that I'm a Christian, you're a Christian. Let's just say that that's what we are, right? And I do something to hurt you or you do something to hurt me. We are to go to one another and make amends and get that right. You understand what I'm saying? And then, we keep that relationship bonded and in good standing. That's what it is. It's not that you go around the world, I forgive everything, I let go of everything, and then people take things out of context. So when I'm asking in context of the system, what I'm asking is that when you look at this worldwide system, you're not just looking at America, you're looking at Africa and what they've been through. You're looking at China and what the people of China been through. You're looking at Mexico and what the people of Mexico have suffered. You're looking at a worldwide system. And I think sometimes people don't stop to say, what do we really need to forgive? And when I say forgive in this case, I mean let go and understand that that's the way it is, and to think of better ways to be outside that world and that system. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't walk up to the mark of the beast and say, I forgive you. It don't work like that, right? So, but that system has affected people in this world. It has damaged a lot of people. It has hurt a lot of people, from the law system to the police system to court systems to the adoption agencies to they was stealing and adopting people's kids. Some of that stuff wasn't even right. Families were being broken, to the church system that was lying to people, taking advantage of people, taking their money. People were still sick. People were still going through. People were still hurting. The entire system, you guys. Sometimes we think, oh, it's mama I need to forgive. But what was done to mama? What was passed to her? Sometimes it's, oh, it's daddy, I need to forgive. But what was done to daddy, Sometimes, it's, oh, my cousin, I need to forgive. What was done to the cousin, We're living in this whole big system, right? And when you really tap into the beast, because it is a beast, when you really tap into the intricacies of darkness, of pure deep darkness, you really don't know how it has affected the people of the world. So when I look at forgiveness, sometimes I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna share my story about my mom, right? So as a little kid, if you look at my arm, you'll see scars here, right? That's why I don't understand people who say I was abused, honey. I was beat with a extension cord, and I was this, I was that, and they have no whips on their body. They have no proof, no nothing. Now, anybody know that if you beat with an extension cord, it's gonna leave cuts and rips in your skin, right? People be stealing stories, making up backstories. But anyway, I was abused when I was young, right? And so for many years, I didn't understand my mother. I didn't understand why I felt she was the way she was. And I loved her deeply. When I say love my mother deep, I was the only child that loved my mother deeply. My brother and sister was like, child, we can live without her. Not me. I had this special spiritual bond with my mother, and I loved her. But I was the one who was hurt the most by her. You understand? Because my brother was old enough to decide, I'm gonna be where I'm gonna be my grandma. And my youngest sister, she just wrote her off together, right? But me, even though I suffered a lot, it was something about me that I loved her. And it wasn't until my 30s, I believe, I was like going into 40s, so I was in my late 30s. This is before she passed. I was dealing with some things, right? I was dealing with, God had showed me my purpose, showed me my destiny. And God began to open up my understanding of the things I had been suffering since a child, and why I was suffering those things from elementary school, from other students, from just life in general. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by when people have purposes and destinies and callings on their life, some of the attacks that they undergo, right? And so I remember one time looking at my mom, and I remember I began to get information about my mom, because most of the time families, when they go through things, guys, they don't share with their families what they've been through. So their families don't know. So they just automatically assume, oh, they was this, or oh, they was that. But they don't share like the darkness that that person went through. And I didn't know it, but somebody tried to molest my mother's brother at one time, and my mother took a frying pan. Y'all remember them old skillets, the old ones where they got the rust in it if you don't keep them clean, them old iron skillets, the cast iron skillets is what they call them. So she took the skillet to beat the adult off of her brother, who was trying to rape her brother, molest her brother. So she was protecting her brother, and she was young, and she was the oldest child, but those was her brothers, and they were the youngest, but she was protecting them. And I didn't know this, but they took her and they threw her away in a place, and they tormented her. They tormented her for charging at the adult and beating the adult, and not to mention the other things that she went through too. And so there's just sometimes you don't know things, right? And so before my mother passed away, me and my mother had a very, very good conversation. My mother went through with Carlton Pearson. A lot of people don't know this, but my mother was lied to. She was in church many, many years. There was false prophecy all around her, deception. We went to big churches. One of the big churches we went to was way back in the day when Church on the Rock came to town here in Dallas. So when Church on the Rock was built here, that was one of the first major churches we went to. What they call mega church. We've been to small churches or whatever, but there was just a lot of deception, and my mother was misled. She was harmed, and at that time, I had no idea. I saw it, but I didn't understand it. Put it like that. And the hardship I went through as a child. But as I began to start trying to walk in my purpose and my destiny, and them same types of spirits of people tried to attack me and use the same type of vices to get me off course, and use the same type of tactics to throw my life off course, with men and with situations and with all of this, I said, God, I forgive my mother. I immediately knew then. I said, no, 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 no. I said, because when you have family purpose and family destinies, the enemy comes after just not just you, but your children too, and your children's children and your families. You understand? And I said, I forgive my mother. I said, because I understand her battle. I understand what she endured. I understand what she went through, the darkness, the hell, the people who was trying to undermine her, slaughter her, get rid of her, do her, screw her, make her look crazy, make her look stupid, make her look dumb. By the way, one of the most intelligent, beautiful women. But when she got in church, she died. I'm not going to even lie. Sometimes churches can be so horrible. Sometimes the system of church can be so horrible. It does more bad sometimes than it does good. It's a fact. People may not like what I have to say, but it's true. And my mother began to die and she began to dwindle. And I saw it as a child. I just didn't understand it. But when you look back over it and you see what the battles that your families go through and generations go through, and different callings upon families. Some families are called to be business people. Some families are called to be, leaders. And, it's just these things, right? And these families go through battles. And I knew then that my mother was worthy of forgiveness. And so then I began to think, so who do you forgive? Who is really the fault? And when we look at this, what you call mark of the beast system, we're not talking about Satan. We're not talking about the devil. We're talking about a system that the scripture says man put in place because he defied God and wanted to do his own thing. And this system would deceive humanity. But this system has done more than it has ever and will never do any good. So I believe that's why so many entrepreneurs are on the rise. I believe that there's so many rising leaders. I believe that's why there are battles going on, because remember, the system fights to keep control. But then there are people who have the heart of God. And I'm not talking about the heart of religion and manipulation and all that kind of stuff, but the heart of God to do the right thing in the earth. And there's a battle with them, guys. It's not going to be easy for them. There's going to be battles and attacks on them, their families, their children's. It's not going to be easy, but it is a resolve of things that they must do in the earth. They are destined to do it. They were mapped out to do it. If you was sitting down watching God write a book, you would see that their destiny was mapped out. So it's within their heart, it's within their conscience, and it is going to happen. And so it is with wicked people. It's in their heart, it's in their conscience, and they're going to try to play it out. So again, I just wanted to leave you with that. I hope you be blessed today. And I just wanted to go over with you just how twisted things become. There was a point where people didn't sway that way. It was a time, especially when I was growing up, people just didn't tolerate a lot of darkness like that, a lot of babies being aborted. People would stand up. They would say, no, this is wrong. And now the dynamics have changed and the beast has manifested itself and people saying we can do whatever we want to do. And abortion should be there. Abortion. Now they try to mask it because they don't want to make it sound like they're doing these bad things. So they'll try to mask it in, women's health care or this and this and that. How is it health care when you are killing a baby? It ain't got nothing to do with health care. That's just murder. So, but anyway, I want to remind you about apology. And then I'm going to let you go. And I want you guys to have a blessed holiday season. For those of you into Christmas, Easter, all those different kind of things, I'm not into that. I think sometimes when you're spiritual, you grow past those things. You want your spirit to be better, your mind to be better. But in the spirit of being with your families, enjoying your families, and enjoying gift exchanging, and enjoying just, resting up a little bit. I want to leave you with this. I have been looking at the internet and I've been seeing some propaganda. Now, I want to remind people that not too long ago, there were people that were trying to force and manipulate people to give apologies. Y'all remember that? So they were trying to all over the internet. They need to apologize. You need to apologize. Folks need to apologize. They better go apologize. All these apologies, right? So I want you to pay attention to something. When you are going through things in life, people know how to play on that stuff. They know how to take your circumstance, your situation, and manipulate it and tell other people stuff that don't be true. So I heard these people up here talking and they were saying, they going through A, B, C, D, E, F, G because they didn't come back and apologize to y'all. Now I want you guys to peep game. Now, just not too long ago, they were trying to get people to apologize. And why were they doing that? Because these are the people who have done wrong and evil in the earth. They're trying to hide their hand. Like they say, they threw the rock, but they don't want to show people they threw the rocks. They want to make it look like other people threw the rocks. So then they're lying on other people and causing discord. And what I said all that is because I want you guys to go pray. We need to ask God for wisdom. We need to ask God for understanding and discernment. There's a lot of deceit being sown in the earth. Lots of it. Lots of it. And they're out there telling people, oh, they're going through this because of this and this and this. That's not why everybody going through what they're going through. And because they didn't come back and apologize, they're trying to make it look like you're the one that needs to apologize to certain people, when in truth, they are the ones who hurt those people. And they're trying to hide it, and they're twisting psychology, just like they're the ones who hurt you. You know the people who was cussing at you. You know the people who was telling you weren't going to make it. You know the people who was trying to put curses on you. You know the people who was sitting up practicing witchcraft, sorcery, trying to do you and screw you. But why are they spreading rumors and saying things to people in the earth that's not always true? It's because they're trying to hide their hands. The same people who was trying to get you to apologize to them. Why was they trying to get you to publicly apologize? Why? Because they wanted to make it look like they didn't do nothing and you did it. So if you're sitting up there publicly apologizing, it makes them look like, see, we told you. And then they were lying all the while. It's like ensnaring yourself, right? So all I'm asking people to do is pray and have wisdom. Yes, there are people who have tried to harm you, but pray and ask God wisdom on who the people are, because there are deceits that are being sown. I want to leave you with that. I want to say bless. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. I said like, share, and subscribe. Also, support financially. Support financially. Why? Because when you support financially, I'm able to take that and to do even greater things with it. And then we honestly can come together and do some great things together. Okay. We know that things take finances. So support and thank you and be blessed. Bye bye, guys.